those are the nights that I have the most vocal responses and the most activity out of coyotes.
That's where AI could benefit coyote hunters.
And we go back to this spot 2 weeks later in call 11. Welcome back, everybody, to another season of the Final Howl podcast. And on this episode, we're going to kick the season off with JD Piatt from Bust and Fur Audio. JD, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Oh, living the dream. Living the dream. Ready for another coyote season.
Same here. Ready for these crops to come off. Get back at it. Cool weather. This hot, muggy, buggy season's not for me.
Are the crops starting to turn quite a bit over your way?
Not at all. Not yet. No beans have started yellowing up. Nothing. But it won't be long. I mean, the cool nights we've had here recently and getting about that time. So, and everybody, I do believe, got a lot of the crops in early this year. So hopefully they'll come off early.
Right. That's what I'm hoping for. We're starting to, there's not too many beans yellowing yet, but you can see them. They're starting to thin out quite a bit. The corn's about the bottom 2 foot of all the corn's brown.
And ears dropping. Notice that here on some of our corn, the ears are dropping. So once that ears, I mean, I'm not a farmer, but I've noticed over time, once the ears start dropping, then it's a downhill slide from there for the corn.
Right. So I guess I kind of want to start off with a announcement for the Final Howl side of things. We have, I guess, a partnership now between the Final Howl and Bust and Fur. And I just want to start off to saying I really appreciate it, and it means a lot on this side. And
same here. Happy to be a part of it.
And what I really like the fact is, you open your sounds up, we can run them on a Lucky Duck, a Fox Pro, an Icotech. So no matter, what we're running here on our end, we can play your sounds on our call.
Yep. Open source. It's MP3s, waves, multiple bit rates in the waves, which we'll touch on here in this conversation. So yeah, they're available for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty huge thing. Just like I said, I know that Brandon runs a Fox Pro that hunts with us, and there's a lot, and I'm not knocking by any means on anybody else out there, but he runs a lot of MFK sounds, and it's like, unless you got a Fox Pro, I can't play them, and that's what's cool is somebody I'm out calling, they hear what I'm playing, what give or take, whatever's, coaxer or whatever, they can go to you, order it. It doesn't matter what call they have.
When I started, I was same boat as, or doing the same thing like MFK is doing, their connection to Fox Pro. I was connected to Icotech. I still do Icotech's sound library for them, to this day. So we come to an agreement that, I was going to start doing my own thing and selling my own sounds, and went to an open source, and all working out for everybody. But yeah, it's opened up, sales and everything.
So we talked about this earlier, like the 16-bit or the 24, the MP3, like kind of there's a difference between them, right? Between a MP3 file, how it's read versus a 16, 24-bit or like 32 now, I think some of them are.
Yep. Everything I record's in 32-bit. But, there's so many callers out there that are only 16-bit wave capable. So I've always covered those guys with my sounds, and I've now recently opened up and started to create 24-bit sounds because the caller manufacturers are adding speakers to the systems, um, and the capability of playing 24 and now 32-bit files. So I know on the last podcast we had done last fall, I had mentioned, and still I stand by it. You play an MP3, 16-bit wave, and a 24-bit wave through the same caller, you're not going to noticeably tell a difference. I don't believe, other than what I have noticed because I've been reading up on it and learning a little bit more, is there's a volume difference. That higher 24-bit sound spit out at the same audio level from my audio auditing editing program, it'll play louder. Not a major difference louder, but noticeably louder. And the reason I see that, and I'm learning now that the higher the bit rate in that wave file, there's more data in there. And it's, I guess the best way maybe to try and describe it is like a picture. Pictures are made up of pixels, and audio is made up of waves, vibrations. So in a high DPI photograph, dots per inch, I think is what that stands for, you get a better quality picture, like 24 megapixels versus a 12 megapixel picture out of a trail camera, for example. It's more filled in. It's a better photo. So relate that to an audio file, 16-bit versus a 24-bit, kind of along the same lines. 24-bit has more data in there, more wavelengths, more vibrations. It's picking more of that up, producing more of that, all the way up to like 32-bit. So with the new callers, with the tweeters being added to the speakers, playing those higher frequencies, that's improvement. That's a plus. Whether the human ear can hear that is the thing. I know I can tell a difference between a caller without a tweeter versus the caller with the tweeter in it. Same sound. I hear things in that tweeter that I don't hear in just the paging speaker. So there is an advantage to the higher bit rate in the wave file that you can get and that your caller can play. So I know before I said, nobody's going to tell the difference whether the Coyotes can or not is going to be the determining factor. So we'll see. But a wave file is a lot bigger than an MP3 file. MP3 is more compressed, it's smaller. So, in the audio world, general rule of thumb is a wave file is a better, bigger, more data in size file than an MP3 version of that sound.
So why do they use a paging speaker versus regular speakers in these callers? Do you know why? Does that have something to do along the lines with all that stuff, or what's the reasoning for that?
Honestly, I'm not the engineer. I'm not real sure, but I got to guess that it's able to produce more volume than than your typical stereo speaker, and durability for one. You just like an old Jensen speaker that cars when we were using a 6x9 Jensen ran, but it's got that what is it, cardboard foam type shell in there that for the vibration they're getting, the wave of that sound to produce, that's probably not very weather durable when it comes to using it like we do.
Right. And that's, I don't know, I guess I've had people ask me before, and I've kind of always been curious. I've never known what the exact reason was for it. Like, I don't know. Like, I just figured a paging speaker, like that's generally what you see outside of buildings or what. Like, I figured it was just because they're more durable, I guess, weather resistant or whatever. But I didn't know if, on the back end of things, if there's an actual reason why or technical reason.
Yeah, that'd be the main. I mean, just durability, and it's producing more volume without distortion. You push too many watts to a 6x9 car stereo speaker, it vibrates, it distorts. So with those paging speakers, you don't have all that material to distort. It's all magnetic based.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, so I guess that, and you were telling me earlier too that on the MP3 files, those aren't a 16 or 24 bit. Those are completely different. They're registered different, like the megabytes or whatever that is they come over as.
Yeah, WAV files are measured in megabytes, whereas an MP3 file is measured in kilobytes. So that's smaller. There's different rates, like 192,000, or well, no, that's WAV. There's different rates when it comes to the MP3s, even. So those I haven't learned a whole lot about. I figured out for like the Lucky Duck guys what they need for their callers to play them. Because when I first started releasing sounds in MP3, the majority of the Lucky Duck callers were playing them fine. And then some of, I think, might have been the older versions, maybe they would play them okay, but they would start out low volume and then they'd jump. So it was like, okay, got to figure, what this is. And then Lucky Duck has that gain on their caller where you can turn the gain up, and learned that, okay, turn the gain down to about 1 using that rate that I was producing would alleviate and do away with that low volume start and jump after about 2 seconds is what it was averaging. You could hear the sound, and then all of a sudden the volume jumped way up. So learning those different output rates when I output a finished sound MP3, finally got that figured out now. Haven't had that problem for a couple years.
And Lucky Duck's the only caller that runs MP3 files, right?
Yeah, they won't run a wave. So that's another thing. When I first started, I was only selling in wave format. I had a lot of guys with Lucky Ducks that were buying them in wave, and they were playing them just fine. But they, in their manuals everywhere, they say won't play. I don't know if maybe they don't say they won't play a wave, but MP3 is suggested. But some guys were playing them just fine, and then others are like, my caller won't play them, so we'd have to convert them over to an MP3, and then they could play them. So I'm not sure what that was all about, but so that's what prompted me to just go, okay, straight MP3s for the Lucky Duck guys, and some of the older, callers, older Fox Pros, older Lycotechs used to play MP3s. So if somebody had one of them older versions, they could buy sounds as well. So I'm trying to cover the whole spectrum. Only thing I haven't got into yet is the what is it, ultrasonics.
What are the ultrasonics?
Oh, like the Freak Caller, Fox Pros 360, supposedly ultrasonic. Ultrasonic recordings are, the human ear can only hear 20,000 up to 20,000 hertz. Animals hear far beyond that, and they're hearing things that we don't hear. So ultrasonic recorders can record above 20,000 hertz. Whereas like some of the smaller units that I record with, they'll record, I think it's up to 40,000, but if you don't have the equipment to push it beyond 40,000, the speakers and the guts, it's useless. So I don't try and even record in ultrasonic with what I've got.
So is that kind of like, I guess, the dog whistles, or I mean, is that similar to the same thing, like a dog whistle? And I remember, what was that, years ago? Like, I think it was Matt or somebody had the for turkeys, wasn't it? Didn't he have a like a dog whistle or something like that to get them to shot gobble or something?
Really?
I think so, but I can't remember what it was. I'm pretty sure that's what it was for, but I mean, this has been 25 years ago or something, I think, but
Yeah. Blowing on something that is this working? You have no clue if it's working or not, because you can't hear it.
right.
But that's the theory on the ultrasonics. It's those collars are producing sounds that we can't hear, that the animals can hear. So that's what is, kind of a direction some some are going.
And there's really no way unless, use like the sound developers or the call, like really are the only ones that can tell, right? I mean, because there's no way for the average person like me to tell what the difference is. You can't hear the difference. The human ear can only hear so far.
Right. Yeah, the only even then it's all in a computer system. You can see the audio waves and the peaks, you know, of how high you're reaching. That's the only way, you'd be able to record something and know it's in ultrasonic above 20,000 hertz is through a computer program. Definitely not by playing it and listening to it.
That really interests me. Well, I mean, just from when I've started doing the podcasting, I've never paid attention to like sound or sound files much. Like for all the years I coyote hunted, it was like, I don't know, it's the call, right? You buy the call and you have the volume. Well, then getting into doing this, I'm starting to learn more about sounds and frequencies and all of this. And then now learning like the whole world of calls, game calls, and or maybe it's just you didn't much hear about it in the past, I guess. Maybe that's probably what it is. Like 5 years ago, you never heard anybody really talk about that. I don't think, at least not that I know of, but
Human nature, we take everything and just complicate it to try and make everything better, easier. It seems, all the innovations in deer hunting and all that. We're doing the same thing now. And, you know, you used to take a $5 hand call and your old bolt action rifle and go sit in a fence row and toot on it and shoot coyotes. Now we're toting thousands and thousands of dollars worth of gear, shoot an animal we're going to throw in a hole. That's what's, hopefully the fur market turns around. I know I'd like to start utilizing that fur, but man, you got to pay them to take it.
right. Well, and then at least around me, the closest legit fur buyer around me is I think an hour and 15 minutes away. And last year he was paying more for the heads, for the skulls, than he was the fur. Like I think it was like $5-6 or something like that, but he was given $10 for the head.
So you could polish them up and sell them online.
I guess apparently there's a lot of demand for the. I don't know. I don't know what somebody's doing with it, but
Coyote skull sitting on your desk, I guess. Yeah.
yeah.
I would love to see the fur industry make a comeback. Maybe Trump, maybe that's something he can make happen with all the new trade policies and deals he's got going on with China and Russia, because they were always our biggest fur buyers.
There we go. That's what we need. A hat that says "Make fur great again."
Yeah. Yep. We need more people wearing fur. And that's actually what the wife's working on right now. We're working on potentially starting a tannery here, and she wants to make coyote hats and throws out of coyotes and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'll start saving the good ones then. But
Hey,
yeah,
well,
I mean We got off tangent, but yeah, it's the sounds we're using are so much different than years ago. And the more as a producer, I'll produce sounds, put them out there, and get feedback from people. Of course, I've used them previously and had success with them, but I'll see across the country how sounds are doing, and then it's striving to produce more stuff like that, but not exactly like that, similarities, and then fresh. I mean, I've seen that go out, and I've had certain fight sounds, that I used for a year or two, and they just work tremendous. And then next thing you know, it's can't kill a coyote on it. But you throw another sound out there that was similar, it's just different enough that it starts working.
Like, well, I mean, over here back on my shoulder, the old Johnny Stewart cassette depth player. Like I think of that and like, I mean, that's why I kind of set it up here by my computer where I see it all the time. I guess it kind of like humbles me because it's like, that's where it kind of like started, and you listen to that thing play and then you go out and listen to these new callers.
Yeah.
It's part of you makes you think like, how the hell did we ever kill anything anyways with that? And then, so, I mean, there's definitely something there with, I mean, just the technology, the bit files, and like I'm sure all that makes a huge difference.
We're going to see with these new callers. I know Fox Pro released their 360, and I've heard one, and sounds good. Sounds good.
Well, I seen Icotech's been teasing. I guess in the last couple of days, I've seen you guys put some stuff out there, been teasing with the new collar, and
Yeah, we got four new products in the works. They're going to be coming out. One right now that I've been testing extensively is the Outlaw Pro. It's just a beefed up version of the Outlaw Plus, Night Stalker Plus. Added the tweeter to the speaker. We've added the ability to charge battery with the battery plugged into the collar now. Changed the audio volume level increments on the remote control. So a lot of things that I've noticed over the years that I'd like to have this, I'd like to have that. These guys are listening and they're making the changes and excited. A couple of the other units that are going to be coming out, I'm really excited for. So I can't talk a whole lot about those, but they're coming.
that's I. I mean, I've always kind of swore I've always been extremely partial to my Lucky Duck. Which I mean, I guess I've always looked at it as if it's not broke, don't fix it. But the more I'm seeing with, I guess what Icotech's doing, what you're doing with them, and all that, it's almost selling me to the point of like, hey, maybe I should try one of these out.
Yeah. Icotech's always produced good, solid equipment. Um, I've used them not going on 12 years now, I think. 12 years I've been with them, 11 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. Uh, very low failure rates. I just really, I know the very first one I ever used, I was blown away by it, on where the market was at that time and what they brought to the market, to where we are today. I mean, I'm not an employee of Icotech, but I do contract work for them and help, design these new collars or design the collars and test them. So something kind of proud of.
Oh, he should be. I mean, it sounds like they listen to you. I mean, I think in today's world, that's a big thing. It seems like with all these conglomerates coming together and, a lot of companies in the outdoor space, I feel, are getting further. It used to be a bunch of just, family companies. And it seems like, man, they're just getting chewed up by these big conglomerates. And it kind of feels like you're starting to see that turn coming back. where they're paying attention to the consumer, or guys like you that are contract with them, instead of being like, no, we're not going to do that. They're listening.
Yeah, the new management at Icotech definitely listens. So, which is a major plus, and it's helping the company. So, yeah.
So is there any, I guess, a little bit more tidbits you might be able to give us on some of the new stuff, or I got to pry a little bit.
Some of it, I guess, going to cover the whole spectrum is about all I can say. Whole spectrum, from the very new beginner guy to somebody that's been doing it for years, that's techie and loves the gadgety techie stuff. So that's all I can say. But the Pro I can talk about because it's in production now. It's coming soon, and it's a solid collar.
So is the Pro, I guess, would a Pro be considered like the Super Revolt, the X24? Is it like in that caliber of calls, or is it more lower end, or is it more higher end than that?
That's hard for me to answer because I've never used either one of the two you mentioned. I've never used an X24, and I've never used a Super Revolt. Which one is that? Is that the little compact one?
The X24 is, yeah. The Fox Pro is.
No, the Lucky Duck.
Oh, the Super Revolts. Well, this is basically the Super Revolt. This is the original Revolt, but the Super Revolt's basically the same call. But
what's the other one? It's just like the speaker.
Oh, that's the
Roughneck.
I think it starts with an R too.
Roughneck.
Yeah, the Roughneck. Yeah.
I've never used it. I've hunted with guys that the Revolt. I think I've hunted with the X24. Been a while, but I've never used one, operated one. I will say, Icotech for the remote control. Give me a second. I'm gonna grab mine.
Okay.
This is what I like about the Icotechs. And I designed this years ago. And that's not why necessarily I like it, but it's simple. All right. It's simple. It raise buttons with different shapes on them so that literally, and I've got mine in night mode, when I'm calling at night, I've got it into my chest and I'm just literally feeling my way across the remote control to turn the volume up or down, pause sounds, start sounds. Only time I pull it off and look at it is when I need to change sounds, make sure I get the right one and not screw up in that factor. But we've got two favorites banks, each hold 10 sounds. So I'll set up like my favorites one with all my Coyote vocals, and then I'll set up my favorites two with my prey distresses that I'll tinker with that stuff before I go hunting. Set some sounds in there. If none of that's working, then I'm going through my library and finding sounds. But everything on this remote is just set up user friendly and simple. There's no going into menus and changing things and no buttons on the side, anything like that, other than your power button. So that's what I like about the Icotech. It's a tool. It's a tool in our toolbox, basically, as hunters, and it's a reliable tool and a tool that's easy to use and muscle memory. Pick up one. So
I think that's a key thing, because I know it would be hell for me for a while if I switched calls, because the remotes, just when I went from the old Revolt to the Super Revolt, that was a complete different remote. And I know it took me, I still catch myself every now and then hitting like ghost buttons. And then I'll get, be like, what the hell did I get thinking? Like, whoa, the old remote, that's because like you said, I'm the same way. Like, expect when it's cold out, I got that, it's like a big Nomad jacket, but it's got that big chest pocket that's down here. I call it my marsupial pouch, but I'll throw I'll throw my remote in there. Like it's on my lanyard, but it's down in there and I'll just stick my hand in there and I can about run it without looking at it.
Yeah.
I know right where I got all like my top, 6 sounds or whatever that I mainly use. And I just know I can just click and hit play and yep, that's that. And I know I need to go 2 up or 3 down from that to play this one, but
yeah. And then once they make a change to them, it's a whole learning process again. Yeah.
Right. So I guess my question leading into that is if somebody's in the market right now and say they're like a weekend warrior type hunter, they might go out and they might call coyotes, say 15 to 20 times a year on the weekends, but they're looking for like in the Icotech lineup right now, where would you steer somebody?
Nomad or Hellion Plus, Nomad Plus, Hellion Plus. They're all pluses now. Or even Night Stalker or Outlaw Pluses. I mean, if you're going to hunt that much, might as well carry a good one.
Right.
And it's, got the Nomad Plus and the Outlaw Plus are the same collars, basically, minus speaker size and collar body size. The Outlaw's bigger. It's got the paging speaker, big paging speaker in it, whereas the Nomad Plus is a smaller version with a 15-watt cone speaker in it. So, which again is similar to a paging speaker, not a stereo speaker, cone speaker. So I think it's like 105 decibels in volume, whereas the Outlaws and Night Stalkers are maxing the decimal meter that they have, which is 130. It's burying it, so it's above 130. But yeah, that in that line, and then one of the new ones we got coming out. It's going to cover them too.
So I guess they can probably, you can load them up for the guys too. Somebody buys one. They can go straight to your website, right, and buy.
Right now, I'm just selling the Night Stalker Plus and the Outlaw Pluses. Those are the only 2 units I have on my website to sell. But yeah, I load them up. I've got multiple options. You can buy one for X amount of dollars. It comes with 125 pre-selected, BFA sounds plus the 165 that Icotech has on the collar. Or the second option I've got is a full BFA library added to a collar as well. So for X amount of dollars.
Right. And yeah, and that's getting, I know I get overwhelmed sometimes when, I've been actually working on that for probably the last week and a half, 2 weeks of going through all the sounds and just listen, because there's sounds I'm like, you either like a guy may even forget he has, or just like,
yeah, I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I've got, just because I'm constantly producing new sounds and testing those new sounds. And then I'll be like, I forgot about Pissed Off Alpha. That's a killing son of a gun there. Be like, I'll play that on the next stand. And I get out there and I'll get to going through and never get to it. So, yeah, my hunting partner kind of reminds me every now and then, hey, did you forget about this one? Oh, yeah, actually, I did.
Yeah, you probably don't get to enjoy a lot of the old. You're producing so many new sounds. You're constantly trying something new, right?
Yeah. Yep, constantly. New howls, new fights, new rabbits and birds, and whatever I can record.
How many times, I get, maybe I've asked you this before, I don't know, but Like, how many times have you sat there and you build, like, I don't know how many sounds you go out and test at a time, say 2 or 3, I don't know, that you make, and you go out that you've started playing it through the speaker out there and you're like, God, that needs a lot more work. Or, I mean, does that happen much to where you got to go back and work on it some more? Or?
Yeah, but I do everything with headphones on. Most of the time when it's something like that, it'll be a output issue, not necessarily a meat and potatoes of the sound issue, but an output issue. Whether it's a volume spike somewhere that I missed, but um, yeah, I've had some that I like. I don't know, and then like I've got sounds that nobody else does because they were recorded. They didn't fit my what I don't know what quality control, I guess, to release them because I got a pup distress that I recorded like I think it was in here in the shop. It was just with my phone. I was actually videoing them, and they pups got into a hell of a fight, and it echoes, sounds like garbage to myself. So there's no way I could sell it. I'll play it because it works. So, but if I sold it, somebody's gonna buy it, listen to it, and cuss me for selling them that sound. But if they went out and used it and killed coyotes with it, they'll be like, "Oh, well, it works." But yeah, there's a lot goes into these sounds, making them and finalizing them. But I've done videos on and posted them. I'll sit out here before I ever take them to a field, play them through the collar at about 50 yards and listen to them. So
Yeah, because I know, like, it's almost like I'm sure every person's got their own sound in a sense, or how they hear or perceive it. But I just was curious on how often, like, you get out there when you're actually using it and seeing how it's what you do for a living. It's what you do, that you listen to it and you just, critique it like it's got to never sound right to you, like, or maybe not. You kind of see what I'm saying? Like,
I do that at the computer. Dude, there's hours that go into these sounds. I mean, just sitting at the computer. Yeah, and that all that is sitting at the computer because I can correlate, I guess, what I'm hearing on the computer versus, when I get out there and play it in the field, I'm confident in what I've got by the time I get to hunting with it. Yeah.
yeah, that's
How easy, quick, simple to clean up and have a finished product. A coyote fight, hours and hours and hours go into those files to end up with the final product.
yeah, and that's why I mean, you can tell, like, for what you do, and that's why I love your sounds. I mean, you can really tell the time and the thought, and that really goes for anybody. But I mean, I feel like when I hear some of your fight sounds, those are ones that perk me up when I hear them. Like, I can go through a library and be like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. And then it's like, oh yeah, I like the way that sounds. There's certain notes in it and certain pitches. And, a lot of your sounds I've went through fit, I guess, my style is probably the best way of putting that. Like, we must have relatively close to the same ear we like to hear, because man, a lot of your fight sounds I go through and I'm like, wow. Like, I can listen to it and be like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to hear right then. Like, that certain higher note, or that, kai and just whatever's going on in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I know to a lot of people that may sound like same thing over and over throughout them, but there's different things in each one that separate them and set them apart from each other. Different growls and a lot of my fights are literal fights. They're not, growls dubbed over a pup distress to make it sound like a fight. It's like I posted a reel a couple weeks ago. Moto's a mean little son of a, you know what? And you put food in with him and whoever he's in with, it's on. The fight's on. So they're real. Growling, squalling. That's something, coyotes, it's don't go very long. That's why a lot of my sounds are short. An actual coyote fight is not very long. I mean, it's to the point and it's done. The submissive coyote's done. So, you know, minute long actually is the long coyote fight. You get over a minute and it's not necessarily that normal. I've heard a couple wild coyote fights, while out hunting, and they didn't last very long. And they sounded a lot like what we're producing, putting out there.
Right. Not maybe that's why. I mean, like you said, you're recording legit fights happening. So that's probably what sets it apart from, because there is a lot of them I've heard before to where it's just like, man, that doesn't, maybe that's what's missing, like that doesn't sound quite right. But I mean, if you don't know the process, I mean,
In my early days, I was doing that. I was taking a pup distress and then growls and mixing them, and they worked. I mean, uppercut, for example, from the Icotech library is one of the killingest coyote sounds I've ever used. And that's how I built it. There was some natural fighting in it, but not the whole sound. There's some pup distress with growls dubbed in, and to build that fight, that sound, and it's a killer. So the process there, definitely works, but a hell of a lot easier on my end when it's just natural, them doing their fighting, and all I got to do is clean up background noises rather than try and put a puzzle together.
right.
It's good.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I know you say hours, but I mean, I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit either. I mean, for the amount of hours it takes just to produce one sound, 1 minute long sound, the amount of time that's put into that. I don't think a lot of people realize that what it takes. It takes you guys to sit down and to produce a 1 minute, 45-second sound.
I guess I'm leaving out the part of getting the sound to begin with, the hours of recording, and then hours of just getting the recording from the recorder to the computer to even start and sit in front of the computer for hours working on the actual sound. So I guess it might as well say days, when it comes right down to it. Days involved with moving coyotes around, and coyotes are not like little house dogs that you can just go in, pick up and move. There's a process for that too, and it's time consuming.
Yeah, you can't beat that though. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and I mean, we all know that there's things out there that people are starting to do that are creating sounds. I guess I'll just leave it there. You can talk about however you want, but I think a lot of people I need to realize these sounds that you're producing are real 100%. These are in the time, the energy, and producing this sound from a hunter, like somebody that actually goes out that has spent a lifetime hunting and chasing these things, and then going out, you make the sound, you put all this time into building this, and then you go out to the field and you test it. And if it doesn't meet your standards, it doesn't meet your standards. Like you said, you've had sounds that they may kill, but it's not BFA standards, not JD Pyre standards. You're not going to sell that to somebody.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I know, all of us in this, what I'm doing, Tori, Tony, Rick, the guys from Predator Tactics, everybody's putting in a hell of a lot of time and effort, sweat and blood going into producing these sounds. And I think I know what you're talking about. When it comes to copyrights on these sounds, they're all copyrighted, and there's only so much you can do with a copyrighted piece of material. So I'll kind of leave it at that. But yeah, there's a lot of work going into these. I mean, we've all spent a lot of money, getting set up to do what we're doing.
Right. And that's why I just wanted to make sure I touch on that and just say it, because I'm old school in the aspect of, I like to know where my product's coming from, the person that's making me this product and selling me this product. I like that. And in the world we live in, I mean, we can go down that, which I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. We ain't got enough beer, money, and time for that. But as far as, you got that human aspect and that person that has the same passion that you do to go out there and hunt. When I'm giving you, $50, however much for sounds or a package or a call, you know what? Those things they're on the market because they kill. It's not I guess I'm not going to knock. I don't know. I mean, there's room for everybody out there. But at the same time, these sounds are made for a reason, not by your coyotes, and not a damn computer.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. He ain't gonna beat the real thing. That's for sure.
Right. And just time tested. I think that's huge to me. It's tested. Like, and it's never a surefire thing. I'm sure there's somebody listening to that being like, oh, now bullshit. Like, I bought this sound and never killed a coyote. It's like, well, you might also possibly be the guy that fucking sets up with the wind to your back and blowing right fucking tool, which I'm not saying you could kill them, however, but, I think there's a lot of people out there that.
Dude, I used to handle customer service for Icotech. I've heard a lot of shit over the years. This it don't work. I ain't killing nothing. You gotta have a little bit, sense in how to use it. So, but
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't fix stupid, but it's not saying somebody's stupid just because they can. I mean, everybody's got to learn somehow, but
so many people have asked me over the years, what, there's just so many little factors that you got to do right. There's not one big factor that's going to make a big difference in whether you're successful or not. It's a whole lot of little factors along the way that you've got to do. And if you skimp on one, you may not be as successful as you could have been.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, to me, it doesn't matter. Like, you can have an $800 call, $1,000 tripod, a $6,000 scope, a $2,000 gun, and you can have 30 grand wrapped in this thing. But if you don't understand how they work, you don't have the woodsmanship skills to do it. That's only going to get you so far. Like, there's a difference between I don't know, I guess like somebody that's just a killer and a hunter, I guess.
Yeah, that's across the board when it comes to hunting in general. Deer guys, predator guys, turkey even. You got to know what you're after.
Right.
It goes away. You got to have good products, help you get there. Helps. But at the same time, a guy with all that knowledge could go out, like I said earlier, sit in a fence row with an old bolt action rifle and a couple twigs to prop his gun up on and a hand call and still kill coyotes. all the calls and sounds is convenience.
Yeah, I had a guy that blew me a bunch of shit for like, well, yeah, you've got that, fucking Christensen Arms rifle and a pulse, fucking $5,000 scope and all this, and like, no wonder. And it's like, dude, like, yeah, but it got to a point where I started, like, I still have the old Savage 250. That is still my day gun. I mean, one of the videos I put out last year was with that gun. It wasn't with a like, I think it's like a $200 Vortex scope. It wasn't even a fancy glass on it. Like, it's just literally the rifle it rides in my buggy. And that thing has killed more coyotes for me than anything else, probably. But it just got to a point where the more I hunted, the more we were out. Like, then I started looking like, man, that 250, that bull barrel and all of it, like, you put a can on the end of it and all that. It's like, and that thermal, that was a heavy rig. So then it was like, okay, hey, I can get this 22-inch carbon fiber barrel, a stock at weight, like, the gun weighs half as much as my 250. So that, as much as we go out, I mean, we hunt almost every night, every other night through the season. And you know how it is. You make 20 stands in a night. You lug that gun back and forth to the truck, load and unload 20, 25 times a night. That starts adding up right real fast. Like,
How old are you?
38.
I'm 55. It wears my old ass out quick. Yeah. Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. I mean, it came with the progressions the way I looked at it. And I just started being like, same as my calls. Like, we started my first call. Well, right there was the first, but like, actual e-caller was I think it was like the Fox Pro. Is it I don't think it's a Patriot. Oh, and it's just that, the size of a small football. It's just a little bitty Fox Pro call. And like, man, we burnt that thing up. Like, that thing killed. But started realizing that, man, when that thing's cranked all the way up in the volume, and then that was before we even put it on a tripod, so it's buried in the corn stalks. Like, that sound was lucky to get probably 75 yards out there, 100, like, it wasn't traveling. I've never, I guess, tested how far it'll go, but, and then when we started getting these bigger e-callers, and that sound projecting way out there, and it's like, oh, so, really wasn't what we were doing as much as our equipment, only took us so far.
Right. And we're seeing that right now to this day, these new callers with 32-bit capabilities and more speakers in them. And a lot of people are like, why do you need all that to kill a coyote? Just like you're saying, it's all about progression and growth and technology.
Right. Have you ever tested that theory? We've talked about it, and I thought about doing it this winter. How far have you ever set your e-call and then had somebody stand there, then drive like a mile down the road and see how far you can hear that call? Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that because I can't hear for shit. But I base it off of yeah, my ears are shot. Anyhow, I base it off of coyote responses and house dogs. Still the night, you go out and you set that collar up and you start playing. This is like one of the last times we were out. I was telling Darren, kid that hunts with me, I was playing a low volume rabbit. And then I don't know how far the dog was. It was a ways off, right? Pushing a mile. I don't know. Started barking. He wasn't barking until we started playing that collar. And that was low volume and a rabbit. And that dog heard it and started barking. So, just like setting your collar up, pointing it to the north, mid volume, throw a howl out there, and you get coyotes start howling 2 miles to the south. Some bitches can hear. That's all I got to say about that. Those callers are putting it out there. So I can't say honestly how far.
Yeah, I was
based
just
off of those assumptions.
yeah, I was just curious because we've that's just something like Bill and I have always sat around and talked about, like because like you were saying, I that's happened so much where it's like the still of the night, like those say January nights where you just the ground's froze solid and not a leaf or nothing on the trees and you got the volume on like on the Lucky Duck 15's mid volume, so you'd have it on like 10, and you'll start that thing on like a woodpecker or something, and it seems like you'll have dogs barking 3 miles away. Like you can sit there, know that like the only house with a dog that I know of in that direction is literally 2.5 to 3 miles away. It's like, is that us? Like that dog wasn't barking before, and this thing's. But it's like the conditions, like the ground's froze. There's no snow, so nothing's like soaking up that sound. That sound's just going.
Right. Yeah. I've seen the same thing.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess curiosity. We might still do it. I don't know. I don't know what's going to change because I'm probably still going to call the way I call. But
Yeah. I wouldn't hear it from 400 yards away, let a mile. Yeah. Too many rock concerts and gunshots, I guess.
that's why I.
Well, and what you're doing, cutting concrete, that really did my ears in because I did concrete 26 years and cut so many slabs with the damn cutoff saw and the diamond blade. When you're 20 some years old, I don't need earplugs in.
Yep.
Sheesh, I wish I would have now.
Saul sitting there just screaming wide open. Oh yeah.
That diamond blade going into concrete is a loud one.
Oh, I'm 3/4 death myself. I mean, that's when we started getting when we started running suppressed. That was a game changer just for the fact of like,
Yeah.
because I couldn't ever like we always talked about getting like those walkers or something and putting on, but like if I have any kind of earmuff on, we're gonna have to talk so damn loud to hear each other. The coyotes are gonna hear us 500 yards away,
Right.
like
Exactly.
so.
Plus the cops getting called all the time, gunshots going off at 3 o'clock in the morning. At least here in Ohio, where I'm at.
Oh no, that was because that when we all got suppressed, that opened up so many more spots that we just didn't call for the fact of because where I'm at, you can't drive a mile without there being at least 2 or 3 houses on that block. So your stand locate, you got to set kind of accordance. Like, well, I don't want to be right next to the house, and then we get 2 or 3 come in, and we're both just ripping off. Like, so you try to be courteous, plus, I guess just being a neighbor, just said, because we had the sheriff called quite a bit. Somebody just hear gunshots at 2 a.m, freaks them out. They call the cops, and it was like, well, screw that. We're not going to call that anymore. Then when we both got suppressed, it was like, oh, yeah, well,
You ain't
we
seen
don't
a
care
cop
now.
for a while. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think it made us more effective on doubles and triples and quads because I keep trying to tell guys, maybe it's not this way every time, but I think the percentage is better of don't just sit there and start, mag dumping. You shoot one, even if you miss, you shoot, man, it almost, especially suppressed, most of the time, if you just stand there, they're only going to run out there another 30, 40 yards. A lot of times, at least around here, and they'll stop. They'll at least check up enough and look back to give you another shot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that, I mean, I'm guilty of that when I first started using the thermal and an AR. I was mag dumping. It was actually fun, you know, trying to get them on the run. Back in the early days, I was calling in multiples all the time. So it's like dump that first one and then try and see how many more you could get on the run. And, time finally is like, if you just quit shooting at them, they will stop 9 times out of 10. they're going to stop within gun range again.
Right.
It's just having that discipline. Going to a bolt gun helped me become a little more disciplined.
Well, I mean, I was never the best at running shots, but it is definitely cool when you roll one on a full dead run out there at 150 yards. You hit him just right, and those things just roll. Yeah, it makes for great content, great videos.
I don't know what the heck it is, but with the old pulsar thermion that I used to shoot, I could roll them up. And then I switched to the Envision. I couldn't hit a runner to save my butt. I don't know what the difference is, but something in my scope was damn sure a difference. Darren was like, he always, couldn't believe some of the running shots I could get. And he's like, man, you can't hit them for shit anymore with that scope running. Like, nope, I can't.
You didn't switch calibers when you switched. Did you switch calibers when you switched scopes?
Yeah, I was still using that 22 nozzler AR at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had a hell of a time when I went from the 250 to the 6.5. I think that I mean I'm still not near. I think that was half my problem, man. That 250 I had a guy doing my hand loads for me, and that thing was screaming. I knew exactly. I mean, if he was out there at 150 yards, did run left or right, I could put the crosshair right at the front of his chest, and it was rolling him. I mean, that gun was stupid fast. And that 6.5, you gotta I best way to describe it on my screen is almost a finger's width in front of him. Is about that's about the lead I got to put on him, but
yeah,
I'm not near as good though. It's not near as fast, but
yeah, I like shooting standing still now. Yeah,
stayed it still, nice little quartered away shot, just run it right up in there and dump them.
Yeah, walk out and grab them. Yeah, that's what I shot 22 Nosler for quite a while, and then the 6 Arc for quite a while, night hunting, and now the 6 Creedmoor. It's a blessing because it's like pull the trigger, dump, walk out, grab your coyote, you're done. Those other calibers, man, it was so much of a find the right bullet combination, yada yada yada, and oh, shit, we got another runner. Ran another 100 yards. I got to drag him that much further.
What grain bullets you running out of that 6 Creed?
I would run factory loads, just 87 grain Hornady VMAXs out of it. I've got the reloader, got all the dies, got everything to start reloading for it, but I don't have the need to. Yeah, those 87 factory loads they're flat killers when it comes to coyote.
That's what. Well, I run the 6.5 Creedmoor, and I run those 95 grain VMAXs, and that's when I went to that. I had runners, either you miss them or they're falling over. Like, it's similar to what you're saying. Like, you hit them with that 95 grain VMAX, it flattens them.
Yeah. And there was something too, Darren and I kind of, through the winter with our 22 Noslers, we were killing consistently, just dropping coyotes consistently. It seemed like come springtime, once they started shedding those winter coats and getting that thinner fur, we were getting more runners. I'm like, nothing's changed other than them losing their fur. So that's got to be a factor in that bullet performance, is what we kind of chalked it up to. And, it's just density changed. So they were running another 100 yards or some 200 yards after getting hit. It's still killing them, but experiencing runners. So we both like, I went to the 6 Creedmoor and he went to 243. And we don't have a whole lot of that issue anymore.
Yeah, I've never understood that debate when guys I mean, you see it all the time on these forums and groups and, everybody, what caliber. I've never understood why guys, unless you're state law, like I think Michigan, you have to use like a rimfire at night or something, I think, or something crazy. I don't know. I guess I'm not speaking for that. I just know, some states have smaller caliber laws. But I've never understood, besides that reason, unless you're restricted, why guys are just so fixated on like, oh, like if you use anything more than a 17 HMR, you're not a hunter. And it's like, dude, like
Shit.
like I don't understand. Like it's proven there's way too many people out there to where, man, using a thermal scope and they're not precision scopes. Like you're shooting at a heat signature. And at the end of the day, you're literally shooting at a softball at 100, 150 yards. Like, why not give yourself the bigger chance? Like, and at the end of the day, we don't have Montana coyotes. We're not saving the fur. We don't have $100 coyotes like they got out west. Like, these are pretty mangy, Midwestern coyotes. Like, blow them up. Like, get it over with. Like, don't chase them.
Yeah, that's a pretty good debate, isn't it? The 223, and I shot a 223 for a while, and I experienced the difference of Ohio to New Mexico and Arizona. In Ohio, I had so many runners, it was pathetic with the 223. And no, I'm not a professional bench shooter, yeah, I probably wasn't making exactly perfect shots on every coyote, but when you're calling coyotes, there's not always the opportunity to just place a well-timed, perfect shot. Shit's happening fast. You got to get on them and get them killed or get a bullet in them. Anyhow, so the 223, I went through different bullets, just so many runners. And then I'd take the same gun, same stuff, and go. My wife was working out in New Mexico, and I'd go out there and hunt and flatten every coyote I shot with it out there. So what's the difference? Coyote size, body density, fat content, structure, all that has to do with bullet performances. So yeah, them guys out there are arguing a 223 is perfect gun. Guy in the east, shooting a bigger coyote, more solid bodied coyote. No, it's not. It's a squirrel gun, and it's always ended up in a big old pissing match online, which is fun to watch sometimes.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely the guy in the comments.
Fight about this shit again. But yeah. Yeah. But sixth grade, 243s, 22 250s, bigger, dead. I used to shoot the 22 250 years ago with 45 grain Winchester white box hollow points. You could shoot them in the back foot and kill them. That son of a bitch. Like, damn, this is a killing gun now. This is a killer.
I actually have, that's what I shoot groundhogs with. I still have a bunch of them Winchester 45 grain hollow point white box. That's what I shoot groundhogs with. Yep.
There's some badass rounds, that's for sure.
I came across them at an auction, and there was, that guy had, I forget what I bought. I bought enough. I'll put it that way. And because I've seen those, I'm like, oh man, I love that round for that 250.
Oh, yeah.
And
I don't even know if they make it anymore.
I don't think so. I hadn't seen it on the shelves. I just seen it at that auction like a year or two back, and I hadn't seen it for a while. And I was like, I'm buying every box this guy's got.
Yeah. Don't blame you.
Well, because I shoot 55 grain VMAXs, super performance for coyotes out of that 250. And I'm like, I'm not shooting a freaking $3 round. Like I kind of got tired of it. Like I'm sitting shooting $3 round, $2 rounds at fucking groundhogs. But
yeah, I'd reload for the 250. Of course, I don't get it out much anymore. I don't day hunt much anymore. It's just, I don't know, the older I get guess,
It's
is the factor. And it's hot, which is cool to watch these guys now. A lot of guys are shotgunning these coyotes, in the timber. I'll see their stuff on Facebook. I'm like, how in the hell did you get up? It was hot and muggy at 8 o'clock this morning, and your asses are out there in the woods with all them bugs in the heat, sweating, hunting coyotes. I give them credit.
I give him props for it too.
Oh, I don't want to do no part of that shit.
Yeah, I see like in videos, old Tory Cook puts him out all the time. Like it's like, man, you're down there in Arkansas. And it's like, I know it's 100 and muggy and nasty, and you're out there freaking in the middle of the timber shotgunning these fucking things. It's like, dude, all the power to you. I'm not doing that.
I'm an old fair weather hunter now, and if I got to walk more than 100 yards from my truck, I'm rethinking that stand. Getting lazy.
Hey, the nighttime hunting is just so much better because you don't, like I said, for where we're at. I mean, I've heard the debate and I've heard people try to convince me that, like, the land's the same here as it is in eastern Kansas, or what's like, okay, or even Missouri or Iowa. I'll give you credit for that. But here's what I'm going to, even Illinois to a point. But I know where I'm at in Indiana, I've hunted those other places, and I can go hunt many a sections and maybe see a farmhouse or two. They're not as populated as we are. And everywhere I've hunted, a majority in northern Indiana, a huge part of it. And there's a farmhouse and a house dog on every corner. And to do that during the day with people, at least at night you have more of a chance because the coyotes aren't dumb, to get into it. It's tougher. Not saying it can't be done. I mean, I recorded one last year out of spite just because some dude told me I couldn't kill him during the day. And I'm like, fuck you, I'll go do it and self-film it. Like it can be done. It's just not, I just don't want to spend all week and only kill one or two coyotes. Like I coyote hunt for population control, to help the fawns and the turkeys and everything else. Like,
right.
I want to kill them. I'm not doing it for the sport per se. Like I'm mad at them. I'm still young and mad at them. Like I want to kill them, but it's just more, to me, it's more effective at night than it is during the day. If I was a Western guy to where,
by far. I mean, especially where I'm at. Shit, I got Honda manufacturing in my backyard, and then all the affiliate factories associated with them, which leads to explosion in homes. I mean, there's houses everywhere. And then while we're out hunting, it's traffic because these different factories are letting, changing shift changes and all that. So you got people going to work, going home from work, running the little back country roads that we're out hunting on. So we're constantly dealing with headlights lighting us up on stand out in the field, or semis, let a howl out and try and listen for a response, and a semi blows by, and it's like, if they howled, we didn't hear them. So yeah, it's a struggle, and to do it in the daytime is just not feasible here. I mean, it is if you want to work your ass off. When I was younger, I worked my ass off learning how to do it. I was the only one in this area that would spend the time hunting coyotes. And I'd get guys that want to go with me, and they'd go, and I'd hunt Saturday and Sunday because I had a very understanding wife that I could do that. They would go with me, and then it'd be, we might see one coyote or hear one coyote, but not kill a coyote. Next weekend's like, hey, you want to go again? Fuck no. We walked our guts out for nothing, So I didn't get that many people that would consistently team up with me and go. Doing it all by myself. And then once I get into the night game, then everybody wants to go. It's a different game.
Yeah, and the best stand we had last year, I think it was 10 or 11 coyotes come in, and we're watching them. Like, they just kept piling out of this woods. I'm like, there's 3. Then I'm following them, and Bill's like, hey, there's 2 more coming out. Then Brandon's on down on the end. He goes, hey, there's 3. And I'm like, yeah, they're over here. He goes, no, there's 3 behind the 2 Billy's saying. And then Billy's like, hey, there's 4. And I'm like, oh, they just kept piling. We hit a group.
It comes from everywhere.
And they come back. I mean, they're at this woods about 700 to 800 yards out. And they're just piling out. Well, between that big section and where we were set up was like a little 3-acre swamp woods in the middle of this field. And they were heading right towards it. And we're like, okay, they're going to come wrap around this. And then they're coming. Like, so we're just sitting there like, getting ready. Like, you have time to think about this. And then you start hearing the hum of tires. And it's like, oh, fuck. Oh, this is, midnight, 1 in the morning on a road that's, you probably argue, but it's a county road. Generally not busy at all. We're set up like 50, 60 yards off the road. Here they come up over the hill. The coyotes are about 200 yards out running, and it's just like freeze. And you're just trying not to move, but you're lit up like a Christmas tree for about 2 or 3 seconds while that car was topping that hill. And we ended up killing one. One of them, because they stopped and then they hung up. And then they kind of started scattering around, and I forget what I played. I think I just abandoned everything and sat there. I shut it off, just shut the call off and just sat there. And then I went back to a putt fight thinking that might, just played it real quick and shut it back off. But they seen us, and I'm like, shit. And I think I ended up playing the BFA coaxer. I think is why I hit that coaxer, because I'm like kind of like restarting to stand. Like, maybe if I just hit this coaxer real quiet, and it got one of them that was curious, it just kind of looped back around, but it started working hard downwind. It knew we were there. But yeah, 1 out of 11. Like, I was so defeated. I'm like, man, that was going to be like, we were all felt like we were on point. The world was perfect. They were working the wind and the call, and it was like, hell yeah, here we go. Here come a car.
Yeah, had that happen too. Maybe not 11 coyotes, but cars come up and they always slow down at your vehicle because they don't know if you're stranded or wrecked or what the hell they're thinking. But yeah, they always tend to slow down at the vehicle. It's like, you got coyote in the same field you're in. You're standing out there in a car. Yeah. But
yeah,
don't do it again tomorrow night, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean,
keep doing it.
We never went back and called that. We never went back and called that spot again that year, because literally, I think it was like 2 weeks before then, Brandon was out there with his brother-in-law or something, and they called in a quad. They both mag dump on this quad. I think he's going to hate me because I'm sure I'm getting this story wrong. But like they basically shoot at him, run them off, then turn around and call in another quad from behind them. And maybe that's the one they mag dumped on. Basically, they never killed a coyote. I still poke him at it too, kind of. But anyways, and we go back to this spot 2 weeks later and call 11 of them.
11.
It's like, I don't know what's going on in this area, but like
something in that area.
Yeah, but they were dumb enough. I'm assuming it was the same ones. If it's not the same ones, there's at least 19 in that area.
Yeah.
But yeah, we called, and I just was like, we don't need to go back here. Like, you done mag dumped on them a couple weeks before. Then they seen us standing. I know they seen us. Like, they come up over the hill, the bucky, because usually we'll pull the Ranger out in the field and we'll stand on the other side of the Ranger to help break up our silhouette instead of just standing in the wide open field. But as soon as that car came over, it lit it up, and it's like, yeah. I don't know how smart they are. I mean, that's up for debate, I guess, but
yeah, I kind of got my theories on that. They're smart. They're dumb. What's wild about them though is and Darren and I've noticed this, we'll hit areas with pressured, educated coyotes and think we got their number tonight, and they remind us that they're better at it than we are. But there'll be certain nights when the coyotes are active as hell. Yeah, and we'll intentionally go to one of those areas to test the theory, and they're active there. Like they that night they forgot everything they knew. So how to explain that is beyond me, but they are killable at all times. It's just a matter of timing.
That's
and
what
if somebody could figure out timing, they'd be in there.
There at the end of the year last year, I did a podcast with Perry Batten, which he is one of the farm managers for Mark Jury. And I was talking to Perry because I use DeerCast all the time for my mapping. Well, I started noticing that algorithm's for deer hunting, right? But when I open that up, I started noticing on nights where it just says, okay. And it's like in that yellow phase or whatever for deer hunting. Those are the nights that I have the most vocal responses and the most activity out of coyotes, generally, like a majority. I'd say 80% of the time, if I can look at my deer casts and I go through the hourly and there's a spot from like 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. and it's in the yellow, it'll be great. It's almost like they turn on like a light switch. And I asked Perry, I said, there's something in that algorithm, what it is, because I know that there's, 13 variations they have between the pressure, the moon phase, and, temperature, and all that goes into that algorithm. But there's something in that algorithm that I think triggers coyotes. What it is, I don't know. Now, it's not like that all the time, but I've just noticed that.
That's where AI could benefit coyote hunters, I think. Not in the sound portions, but in the algorithms. And it'd take a couple years of collecting all that data, but AI could go through that data and formulate just like what you just picked up on. And that's interesting. I've got DeerCast. I'm going to pay attention to that too. I never have, but like you said, there's flipping the switch. How many times I've been out and start in wintertime, it's dark at 6 o'clock. You can start calling at 6 till the next morning. And it'd be deader than hell. And here it's 1 o'clock in the morning. What there is about that 1 o'clock hour, I don't know. But it's like you ain't heard a coyote all night long. You ain't seen one, nothing. You've finally taken an ass whipping and you're ready to go home. And it's about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And they start howling. It's like, well, you sons of bitches, now I got to keep going. And you start calling coyotes and killing coyotes. And it might last an hour. It might last the rest of the night. And then it can be the complete opposite the next night. You go out at 6 o'clock and you're killing coyotes. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, it seems like here, boom, done. Here, see a coyote the rest of the night. It's like, fuck makes these things act the way they act? There's obviously something. Putting your finger on that is where I think AI could come in.
I agree. And I thought the same thing because, I used to keep, and I told myself this year I'm going to start keeping a journal again. But I used to keep a journal every time we'd go out. I would write down the temperature, the wind speed, the bear mat. Because I kept thinking like, I'm going to figure this out. Well, I just would always get it got to a point I could keep all these notes. And it was like, by the time I'd be like, okay, hey man, if the pressure's between 30 and 30.5 and, it's a northeast wind, we're going to call them. I got this figured out. We'd go out on that perfect night and you wouldn't hear one, see one, nothing. It'd be like, okay, well, it'd shoot, basically shoot that theory all to hell. And then I don't know why I started noticing that on DeerCast. Because I use that religious for my mapping at night. And I had just.
Do you? I'd never used it.
Yeah, because I go from when we used to hunt a lot of tournaments, I could go to that hourly breakdown and watch the wind. Because I use the wind feature on it. Because I think that wind, I live and die by that. And I could watch that wind shift through the night and be like, okay, hey, we're going to start the night with a northeast or say a northwest wind. By 2 a.m, it's going to shift to a straight north wind. So I would just basically schedule our stands according to where it was like, we're going to hunt these spots because they're good for this. And then by 2 a.m, it's going to switch, right? Well, I just start noticing that, but at the same, it might have been an update on it, so I never noticed it before. But, it's got colors through the hour, so you can see it switch from good to great or whatever. And then I started noticing, like, man, when we would go back and we would kill, and then I'd jump on DeerCast and look, it's like, well, it's yellow. Okay, well, it's like,
so it's yellow saying okay for the deer,
right?
Movement,
right. So whatever it is in there that makes it okay, there's something out of those 13 variations or whatever that is lining up for coyotes.
Oh, that's cool.
I talked to Perry about that.
It's great.
Yeah.
Deer forecast, great.
But
like the coyotes or doesn't.
I've noticed when it says great, it's just average, like a normal night. But when that thing goes yellow, it seems like I said, like 3/4 of the time. I mean, I don't want to put a percentage on it because I don't know. I don't know the, I guess, exact percentage. Somebody will hold me to it and tell me I'm a dumbass, but they're going to do that anyways. But, I would say a majority of the time, if we go out and we have a hot spree to where we're just going stand to stand, like you were saying, you're just hitting stand to stand, and man, you're just knocking them down, singles, doubles, and then it shuts off like a light switch. You can about go back to your hourly on DeerCast, and I swear you'll watch it. Usually it comes off a great. It's not like it's building up. It's like it was great, and then it dropped, and then the coyotes just started hammering. So, but I've tried to look at it and be like, is it the pressure? Was it the moon phase we're in? Like, I don't know what that thing's doing to figure that out. Because sometimes it may only be, the pressure might only be a 29, 28 and a half, 29, real basic low pressure. And then we'll go out the next week and it'll be like a 31 pressure, but it'll still be yellow, but it'll be, a banging night for calling coyotes.
Wow. That's pretty cool. I'm going to start paying attention to that actually now. I don't use deer forecast or DeerCast other than, am I going to go get in my tree stand? Well, they're predicting great. And I always thought a lot of it was based off of the weather and the pressure. I'm sure they got the moon in there too, because moon affects the deer as well. I think it affects the coyotes differently. But that's interesting. I'm going to start paying attention to that with you.
Yeah, I know when I talked to Perry about it, he said that he told me, he's like, man, I've never really noticed that. He says, I don't look at DeerCast when we're coyote hunting. He goes, well, not as far as good or great. And I said, dude, there's something there. I said, you might want to talk to your boss. You might want to talk to Mark and find out what that is that's in there for your, like, because there's something, there's something that's triggering them. Right. Because I don't know how many times we've been out since I have noticed that and almost stay through the course of the night because I will see that drop or whatever, see that go to okay and stay just to see We might not kill anything because we're not on them, but I'll hear them. I'll hear them open up 2 miles. I'll start hearing, they'll start getting more vocal. And it's like, okay, there's something. But I can't put my finger on it.
Right. And seeing that's something, east versus west too, or south, or whatever. But, here we'll have nights, just like me recording. I do a lot of recording at night because it's a lot quieter, traffic wise, airplanes, all, lawnmowers, all that shit. So I'm out there at night a lot, and I'll hear coyotes off in the distance, and I got a pack, literally right here behind my house too. But one night they'll be vocal as all get out, and then Darren and I'll go, well, let's go do some calling. Oh, they were vocal last night, hollering everywhere. Go out and go hunting, and you wouldn't think they exist. No howling, no coming in. It's like, what the hell? You know, that's what keeps us going. Because I guess if it was like squirrel hunting, it wouldn't be as challenging and popular. Not that squirrel hunting is not popular.
I think that's just where, like, when we talked earlier about going those levels and advancing, like, I know that's where I've taken, I guess, my game, my coyote hunting is, the later the season goes on, there's fewer coyotes. They've all been shot at. And you're hunting educated, smarter coyotes. Like, they're figuring out the game. So that's when I start noticing, like, they're using all these features. Like, when you have a real low pressure and, the wind's not blowing, your thermal's pushing down low into this terrain. And, well, why is it every time we see them, they're running up through the low ground? Well, in my opinion, they're using their nose. They're trying to smell what's happening. And I start picking up on all these things. Right. Then that's when I started learning, like, oh, hey, the coyote's coming to the call. They're not coming to me. They're coming to the call. Once I started learning call placement, like, okay, well, just, what I call, basically giving them the wind. Yeah, I'll set my call down over here and I'll go around knowing they're going to work. They're going to work coming into the call this way. And then that started helping. I started advancing, like, okay, this is working out. This is working. This is working. This is working. And there's been a lot of this was dumb. This was dumb. This was dumb.
There's so many little things, that you do. Vantage point, there's just so many aspects to it that define whether you're successful or you're going home empty. And then there's the aspect of what mood are the coyotes in, because I'm successful. Not toot my own horn, but I've been doing it for so damn long. I'm bound to be. But I mean, I get skunked. They skunk my ass, and it's like, okay. And then the next time you go out, for example, Aaron was here. We hunted. He was here for 3 nights. 2 nights, you wouldn't think a coyote existed where we're hunting. 3rd night, we killed 12. Should have had 14. It's like, what? The weather was, well, the first night it did rain some, but nothing too major. Yeah, it's just like, what the hell? What was the big difference? Hunting a lot of the same area, maybe not necessarily exact same ground, but like, it's crazy.
Yeah, something triggered them.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah, and I kid you not, we were making 5-minute stands. It got to the point they were coming to one sound. And that was Aaron's idea. He's like, why don't you just start to stand with that sound they keep coming to? It's like, because I've never done that before. And I've always, okay, got to throw the howl out there. Got to introduce the coyote, yada, yada, yada. I was like, oh, I'll try it. Get out of the truck, set up, go straight to that sound. killed a couple coyotes. It's like, shit, that's what we're doing the rest of the night. And that's what we did. And they were active all night long because the last one was a challenge. The fog set in the morning. Had a coyote right in front of us, less than 100 yards, but we couldn't see it through our thermals. It was that heavy of a fog. I mean, and I had my power howler on me. Told Aaron, I was like, stay on your gun. I'm going to walk up this towards the truck because we'd pulled back a long farm lane. So I'm going to walk back that lane, just howling and carrying away at this coyote. And that's what I did. I just turned around and started backing up, just challenging and going to town on that howler. And of course, it's dark. Next thing I know, pow, he shoots. And I didn't hear a thump. I get out there now. It's the 14th coyote of the night. I was like, did you get it? He's like, missed. He's like, that son of a bitch come out of the fog and was right in my face, hauling ass. And he missed. But that was pretty cool stand there. Although I didn't get to see shit because I was working the howler. But yeah, it's crazy how some nights they're just in your face. And
well, it's crazy on how a lot of times they're all triggered off the same thing that particular night. I think that's a wild aspect to it because I know tournament hunting. I do exactly what you did there when we're hunting in a tournament, and I find the recipe that's working to where we're just doing 10-minute stands. We're just going. We're just boom, 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 boom. Once I find whatever sound is working, that's all I will do the rest of the night because it seems like that works everywhere. Yeah. And then you try to go do that the next night or 2 nights later, they might have been running into pup distress that night. And then 2 nights later, they could give a crap less about pup distress. They just want to hear a cottontail or they want to hear a Tweety bird. Like
here, I've seen them do that in the middle of the night. Right in at the same night. We'll go out. I have a 3-stand rule. I'll do 3 stands similar, whether it's start with a lone howl, pray, into vocals, or different lone howls, different pray, vocals. If it ain't working, then I'm changing. I'm leaving the pray out, or I'm not starting with the howl. Just I got to find the formula. I got to find the recipe that they're biting on. But I've seen, here many nights where, okay, it's a rabbit. That's what they're coming to, or the bird, and just start the stands and kill coyotes. And then all of a sudden, hey, we've made 4 or 5 stands now. We ain't seen nothing. And then go back to starting with a howl or something. And then boom, we're killing back into coyotes because they'd switched from prey to vocal. Like, that's why, so many guys ask, what sounds do you use? It's fishing. Every night's different. Hell, every hour within the night can be different. Just got to find, and I'm sure you've seen it too. I've seen getting into one pack of coyotes. We got them on the fight. The next stand or 2 down the line, we get the same reaction vocally from a different pack that the first pack, we got with, say, Pissed Off Alpha, and we shot 2 of 3 or 4, or whatever. We go the same route on that next pack. They ain't coming. They ain't going to bite on it. They ain't going to do it. And throw that baby cottontail at the end, and you might get one to come screaming out of that woods for a shot. But they wasn't going to bite on that fighting shit. And then the next couple stands down the line, back to the fight. You run into a pack that's ready to get it on. So it's crazy. But then there's nights like we've mentioned where one sound can just, from dusk to dawn, it's going to kill coyotes.
Right. And I think, not to harp on it too much longer, it's probably the last thing I say, but like that, when people ask, what do I do? What do I need to do? I'm no expert, for one. And second off, I don't know. It's where are you at? Where are you hunting at? What are the conditions like? How many do you even have coyotes where you're calling? Like, it's all so situational for me. I can't tell. I don't even know what I'm going to do until I hear it. I guess to me, it's like you just got to get out and do it and screw up enough. I guess. I don't know. Like,
Exactly.
because I mean, there's times I've went, I mean, and it humbles me real fast. About the time I get that head on my shoulders to where I'm just, chest puffed out, I'm like, man, we've just been on like every other stand, we're killing something, or every third stand or every stand, like we're just on fire. And it's been that way for a week or two. And I'm starting to get, like like a Baney rooster walking around, and then I'll go a week and not call the first coyote. It's like I just want to sell all my shit. Like I'm done. Like it's over.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've
So
had plenty of slumps. Yep. I did a seminar one time for the state of Ohio, and at the end, I started bragging about not missing a coyote, and I missed like the next 5 or 6 coyotes in a row. It's like, God, I'll never say that shit again. And I was just joking. I wasn't like bragging how I'd never missed a coyote or I hadn't missed a coyote in so long. Yeah, I was like, I don't do that shit no more because they'll
yeah.
humble you,
Oh,
humble
right,
you
real
quick.
fast. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like Brandon, man. When he started hunting with me a couple years ago, I mean, I tell him all the time, like, to come in and, this year to sit in, do a lot of episodes. He's like, man, I just starting the way he wants to hear me. And I'm like, no. I said, dude, you're living it right now. Cause a mere 2 years ago, you never really killed one. And now he's gotten to a point. I mean, I think he's like, I only killed like 15 or something last year, 20. And I'm like, for one, don't even keep track of numbers, but you're killing them. And like, you've learned through the just progression of how it works. And you can actually sit here and be like, well, yeah, because I learned that, I don't want to always have the wind in my face, or, learning how these coyotes are moving. Like there's other ways of doing this, and just figuring it out. Growing because that's one of the first things when he started going to me, I'm like, it's woodsmanship, man. You just got to learn how these things navigate. Or not so much, but just give best educated guess you can, because they're going to humble you.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And having a collar loaded with sounds always helps.
Yes, it does.
Always helps. Yeah. No, but in all honesty, that is one advantage I do have over a lot of the guys that are calling in my area. I've got new sounds that nobody else has got. And it does help. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not trying to sell sounds, but it is a factor.
Well, I think it does, and that's
Voice. Yeah.
you just released
It's not a,
you just released 10, right? 10 new sounds. Isn't that what it was?
yeah. 10.
And
One lone howl, couple fights, and then finally figured out the cottontail rabbits, catching them, getting good recordings out of them. Got 4 new adult cottontail rabbit sounds that I'm excited on.
you got one rabbit sound that I just listened to. I'm not going to say which one it is on here, but as soon as I heard that, I was like, that right there is going to be my number one killer for a rabbit sound this year. I guarantee it. I mean, that dude is screaming, and we'll see what happens. But I was like, man,
They've all killed coyotes, so yeah,
yeah, like
they're
the first 5 seconds of that, as soon as I hit play, I mean, I was just going through listening, and I just perked up like instantly. I was like, yeah,
yeah, it's fun producing sounds and testing them, the whole 9 yards. I love it. Satisfying, gratifying, especially release them and then get the messages on Facebook. Dude, smack 4 last night with the new such sound and that and the other. Yeah, I love that. Love that.
awesome. All right. Well, I've kept you long enough now, I think. But
Time is it? Yeah, I got motos out there in a little carry crate. Gotta get him moved. Right. Chomping at the bit. He's a feisty little son of a bitch. Ugh. He's got a killer voice though.
I love I love his house.
Them wild coyotes hate that little punk. Dude, these howls he's producing now, I thought he's going on 2 years old. Well, not going on, but he's a year and a half old now. And it's like his voice is going to deepen up eventually. No, he's still like that little pip squeak, high, shrilling pitched, squealy howling to this day. And last night, I was recording him last night. I'm like, damn it, Moto. When your ball's gonna drop, I guess, you get a man's voice. That's what I'm waiting on.
I don't know. I kind of, as a consumer, I don't really want him to because I mean, his howls, like, oh, when I hear him, like, I love the sound of his because it's just that. I mean, I definitely think some of his howls are situational because they're just, but if you have a coyote in the area and they hear him, man, because he just has it, you can hear it. I can hear it. Just that, like you said, that pip squeak cocky, like just that. I don't know exactly. It's just I can hear just man.
I don't know if I mentioned this the last time we talked, but the very first howls I got out of him was well, I had some pup type howls, but the very first good ones was like Kid Moto, Hothead, Moto, Hammer, Moto Hammers. I can't remember all the damn names now, but man, I remember recording that thinking, geez, pip squeaky, squealy, high pitched little guy. Well, Darren and I made the sounds. I was like, let's go hit spot X that just these coyotes know our game. We haven't been able to kill them out there. Always hang up out deep in this tall, grassy section until we can't even see them to launch one at them, let alone get one of them. But they'll howl at us every freaking time. So we go out there. We're going to try some moto howls. Start off with Apollo and just typical fashion. They're out in that tall grass and they light up. And then I played moto behind Apollo after they were done. And them some bitches were coming through that grass 100 mph right in our face. Killed two of them. It's like, okay, that was proof because every other time before that, they would not come to whether it was Apollo or Beans. I always thought Beans would get them because she's feisty too. But she can get that shrill, high pitch shit like Moto. But yeah, that was that. And then I've seen that many times after that. I was like, they don't like this little guy. They do not like him. So, yeah, it's beneficial for us. Not necessarily for him, but for us.
Right. All righty. Well, I guess anybody that needs to find you and check you out and buy some collars and sounds.
Bustinfur.com. It's a website. Yep. Sounds, individual sounds, bundled sounds, loaded collars, apparel. I carry the Reese chest packs, some other things from Reese Outdoors as well on there. But yeah, bustinfur.com. And I appreciate the partnership. Looking forward to growing. It's all about.
Well, back at you. I really appreciate it. And I mean, you taking a chance on the final how on me, that means the world. That'll never be forgotten. And not only the way I look at it when I started this, it wasn't so much for partnerships and all this. There's a friendship, I feel. And that to me is more important than anything is to have the friendship, the partnership that's fantastic too. But to me, it's more of just the friendship and
be able to pick up. We're definitely going to get to hunt together this year. I mean, now that we've figured out, we're only like an hour and a half apart. So yeah, definitely got to make some stands this year.
oh, for
Kill some
sure.
coyotes.
Yeah, I'll get
Yeah,
you
you'll
over
have to come
here.
over this way. Yeah, you come over this way, you'll be like, geez, where do you guys, how do you do it here? There was a friend come in from Kansas a couple weeks ago, and he's like, there's houses everywhere you look. How in the hell do you kill coyotes here? Because I've hunted with him out there on his ground. There ain't a house. There ain't a car. You don't see a car all night long out there when now Kansas is open. I don't know if you knew that, but they opened their season night hunting now.
Oh, so it was only on public, so you can do walk-ins and stuff.
Just opened it up this week. Yeah, they just opened up their night hunting. I don't want to say the dates because I don't want to tell anybody wrong, but it used to be from January to March. Now it's in right now, which I think it comes in September 1st. And I know I'm already planning a hunt in Kansas soon.
That's something I plan on doing this year. That's Bill and I have talked about that a lot. Like we want to jump away and get out of Indiana for a while and go to Kansas or Iowa and get in those places where I want to go to Montana, something fierce like that's. And I've looked into their laws. I'm pretty sure that they're thermal friendly and suppressor friendly, and I'm pretty sure they are. But I got to do some more checking. But I would love to go out to Montana.
Beautiful. I've hunted out there, but in daytime.
Yeah, and get some of those big, beautiful, white, fluffy coyotes. Like I would love to do that once, but
yeah. Yes, sir.
Only great things ahead. So, all righty, JD. Again, man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Go check out bustinfur.com. And remember, go shoot your guns. See ya.